Hello and welcome to my living room. My name is George and I'm coming to you from Chelsea, Quebec. In this video I want to do three things. First off, I want to introduce the LED lamp that is the subject of the next 6 or 7 videos in this package. The second thing I want to do is tell you why you might be interested in looking at certain features of those videos, not all of them. So if you're not interested in building a lamp like this, there still are a couple of highlights that might be generally interesting, so I'll point those out separately. And the third thing that I want to do is tell you about a second channel that I'm putting on YouTube. So let's get started. So first things first, here's the lamp that's going to be the topic of the build in the next 6 or 7 videos. It's done in the tradition of Art Deco, so geometric shapes, repetition of them. The light emitting diodes are nested here in the arch so they cast light into the lap. It's designed for, say, the illumination of a newspaper or a full-size magazine. They come on by touching one of the hinges here at the back, and if you touch it a second time, they go off. The illumination is bright enough to give you almost daylight illumination even in pitch blackness, which is not bad for 3.5 watts. Now maybe you noticed that there's no cord. It's not because I've strategically tucked it away. There is no cord. The lamp runs on batteries, which of course explains why there are hinges here at the back. So here are the batteries and a little bit of circuitry that runs the show. The batteries last about 2 hours, and they give you solid illumination for those 2 hours, and then they abruptly go off, or at least the illumination goes off abruptly. So there's no guessing when it's time to change the batteries. And then recharging the batteries, you don't tie up the lamp on a recharge. What you do is you take the batteries out, charge them in a separate charger, and then grab a second pair of batteries that's already charged and pop them in. So there's not a lot of dead time when the batteries are discharged. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased with how this thing works. It's a personal choice to go with batteries instead of a lamp cord, but you could just as easily build this thing with a lamp cord. So all in all, not bad for 3.5 watts. I'm pleased with how this lamp turned out. So the second thing that I want to tell you is that there might be parts of this series that are worth watching for you, even if you're not interested in making a lamp like this. Suppose you're interested in powering LEDs for some other purpose. Well then parts 1 and 2 in this series cover the electronics. Not just the electronics that I used specifically here, but also a couple of other options. So I talk about powering the LEDs using a battery and a touch-sensitive circuitry. A second option without the touch-sensitive circuitry, and then I even talk a little bit about how you can power them off the wall using what are called wall warts, or those small power transformers that you plug into the wall. So if you're interested in the electronics, but not this specific style of doing things, parts 1 and 2 might be interesting. The other thing that might be interesting, again, apart from using the techniques in making a lamp, is bent wood lamination. Now the actual bent wood lamination that I use is not that different from what others have done in YouTube. But what might be unique is the jig that's used to cut thin strips. I haven't seen a jig like this on any other YouTube video. So if you wanted to see all the options that you have in cutting thin strips, you'll want to include part 3A in and amongst all the other videos that you watch on YouTube on how to cut thin strips. So those are the two things of general interest that you might want to look at. So parts 1 and 2 for the electronics, and part 3A for bentwood lamination and a jig that lets you cut thin strips. So the third thing that I want to tell you is that I'm making a second YouTube channel. Woodworking is my main hobby, but I also enjoy programming, electronics, and even some 3D printing. And every so often I find myself doing something in a way that I don't think most people do, and maybe it's a way that somebody else might find interesting. And so of course when that happens, I want to make a YouTube video and say, hey, look at this. So that's what I want to do, but I don't want to put electronics videos in the woodworking channel. So I made the second channel, and I'm calling it Misc Makes. And Misc Makes, we spell it M-I-S-C period makes, because they're miscellaneous makes. So if you're interested in programming, in electronics, 3D printing, you're welcome to take a look at what's on that channel. Right this minute, September 2017, there aren't any videos on it yet, but there's sure to be the first one by October 2017. So that's pretty well all that I needed to tell you. Bye from me, and share your passion. Ha-ha!